Hi, let him.
Hey guys, how you all doing? We are. Oh, Stuart, you joined us.
Yes.
We are back for another live. You can't get rid of us. We're still buzzing off Eurovision 2021. And guys, we've just watched all the grand final live on tape performances tonight. How do you know what I'm going to say? I kind of wish that I didn't watch them all, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah.
But you guys find the show tonight.
Very good.
I think it's really interesting to see what they had in mind and what actually happened in Eurovision. It's like listening a demo for the first time and then listening the actual song. I think it's so interesting, and I actually wish we could see this every year, just to see like the idea they had in mind and how that translated into the Eurovision stage. A really high budget performance, and with all these technicians, because I personally have found it super interesting to watch.
Jess.
Yeah, for me, I just loved seeing the evolution of the staging and how because I feel like with some of these performances, as Clara said, we got like a demo version, and it was nice to see how that progressed into what we saw in Rotterdam. But yeah, I really enjoyed the show tonight, actually.
Go on, Stu.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in many ways. It is really interesting to see how certain ideas were fleshed out with a smaller budget and a smaller studio. I don't know. There was also, I mean, obviously a lot of the national selected songs were just their national selection performance, which is kind of what we expected. And I mean, I don't know, some were more interesting than others, I have to say. Generally speaking, it was a good show, but yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it, I guess.
Well, guys in the live, we'd love to know what you think. We've got Neil Era, who can't join us tonight because you're watching Champions League, as I think many people will be tonight. Let's have a look. Hey to Checkers, Sergio. Hey to you. Calispera, Euroboy 4, always good to see you. We've got Francesco M. Hey. Frankie, we're good. I'm still not suffering from PED, and I think this is like the most delayed reaction I've ever had. Jess, it was starting for you when we last spoke to you. How about you guys, Clara and Stu?
I'm fine. I'm very distracted. I have a lot of things to do right now. And I'm walking around listening to the Eurovision playlist, so I feel like I'm still in the bubble. And because I think it's been such a long Eurovision, like it's been 2 years to have this Eurovision, and knowing that we already have it next year, and I know that it's going to fly by this year, and knowing that we are going to Italy, it's just like, it's never ending. And we have Junior Eurovision before that, so it's like the Eurovision bubble is never ending. I
need a little break. We've got Radovan Kalujerski. Hello to you, girls and guys.
Radovan, maybe you don't want to use those terms and you want to expand, because you never know.
Christina Maria Meldola, hello. You love the staging in Rotterdam. So do we, and that's what I'm going to be talking about tonight. We've got Jeremy. You said Belgium was so good, different and classy. Well, it was very similar to what we saw in Rotterdam, wasn't it? Nicola, sharing the sadness of Eurovision and Eurovision, you're with us. Well, we got to celebrate the positivity of Eurovision. We had a Eurovision after 2 years, and we're all still feeling good about that. We've got ESC in Turkey. Hey to you. We've got Kolshvina. You loved Damiano's outfit, or lack of outfit in his performance. The top or the jacket came off. Bonsoir tout le monde. Buonasera a tutti. Hey everyone, and viva l'Italia. Forza Italia. Viva Måneskin. Yes. We were all waiting for Måneskin's performance tonight. Let's be real about it, guys. That's the one we were all waiting for, I think. Let's have a look. And also Kostas Nicolau. Oh, that's not Kostas Nicolau. Sorry. Thank you very much. We're all big Italy stands this year. Kostas, how did Germany do that stage? It was probably one of the biggest stages we saw. But anyway.
It was in Lithuania. It was done in Lithuania.
Turkey 2022. Yes. We're waiting, but we're not sure if it will be 2022. Let's see what happens. But guys,
Turkey, come back. No, you know the song "Baby Come Back." I was just thinking, "Turkey, come back."
Pato Banton. Turkey,
You can blame it all on me.
I think we're singing two different songs.
Yeah, we're totally on different pages, but that's okay.
I can throw a third song. Baby, come back if you love me. And that's a Eurovision song. How can I know without you?
Come on, Andy. It's the UK.
Is that UK song?
Just me.
Of course, I remember it. Anyway, guys, let's go through the songs. I'm going to try and memorize the running order here. But El Diablo, Cyprus. Guys, what did you think of the live on tape? I saw some dodgy camera work in that performance.
She sounded much better in Rotterdam, and a few of them sounded much better in Rotterdam, and a few of them sounded much better live on tape. I think the Rotterdam stage allowed for more choreography, better, more open camera angles, and definitely the pyro at the end with El Diablo, and a nicer dress.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to sound, one of the things that the performances all really benefited from in Rotterdam was having consistent mixing, because it was really inconsistent watching all of the live on tapes put together. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, like you did see certain performers be a little bit more comfortable in the live on tape setting rather than, on the stage in front of a crowd. But yeah, that was the thing that I noticed. But and with respect to El Diablo, I don't know. I didn't have too many complaints apart from that one thing that you mentioned about the sound. It was noticeably different, but yeah, I think that was mostly down to mixing.
See, this is why I feel slightly disappointed watching all these live on tapes. I think I feel different to the rest of you because I don't know. I just felt like I was watching a national selection performance of all these songs. And I thought the national selections were months ago. And we've kind of had like the whole climatic Eurovision experience. And for me, it was a bit of a, I don't know. I kind of get why countries like Ireland and the UK maybe didn't show their entries. Whilst I think it's kind of spoiling the party a little bit. But yeah, I think I'm not going to watch these performances again, if I'm totally honest, because I want to remember the Eurovision performances. And that's why I felt slightly let down today. And there were sound issues with Cyprus's live on tape. And I'm thinking if that was the best of three, then what were the others? And yeah, but it was a good performance from her. The vocals, I don't think the vocals were as good as they were in Rotterdam.
I agree. Please go, Stuart.
No. I didn't really have much to say. I was just kind of shrugging. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I could hear there was a very big difference between her voice and then the backing vocals or the recorded vocals. And it was more like a karaoke kind of thing, a kind of feeling. And like, her very signature back move. It wasn't very elegantly caught on camera. I felt like, I don't know, the whole thing really progressed in Rotterdam.
Yeah, you mean the move that she stole from me, yeah?
Yes, definitely, that one.
It's I agree. It didn't look elegant, and I found that with some of these performances tonight, they look clunky, and that's not necessarily down to the artist, but some of them looked much better rehearsed than others, shall we say. I'm just trying to think of others that stood out for me tonight, and one of them has to be Malta with
yes.
That for me was, and again, nothing against her or her performance, but I was thinking, where are the dancers? It just felt like all a bit of a letdown for me, and I was thinking there was a real likelihood that some of these performances may have had to have actually been used as part of the competition. So considering that Malta have had such a big budget, apparently, for Eurovision, it didn't look like a lot of it had been spent on the live on tape performance. And I think that was an injustice to Destiny, myself, because she gave a great performance.
She did, and I think she sold the song very well. Had a great stage presence, vocals were great, and I think she did the best that she could given the circumstances. However, the live on tape did feel a bit flat without any dancers or anything else happening on stage, and she didn't have kind of as much choreo as what we saw in Rotterdam. So for me, it kind of was a bit a bit of a letdown, if I'm honest with you. And it would have been a shame if that was the one they had to use, because I feel like it wouldn't have had enough of an impact as what they had in Rotterdam. But what I did like was all of the kind of visuals and the words coming up on the backdrop. And the camera angles were a lot better, in my opinion. And I wonder why they never brought them to Rotterdam. But
I disagree about the camera angles, but I agree about the backdrop, and because there was a lot more variety, I would say, and I feel like they could have found a nice kind of blend of the two ideas, because ultimately, like the performance in Rotterdam was better in a lot of regards, but there were certain textures that were on the backdrop that were a little bit more interesting to me than like the solid yellow, which I was never a huge fan of, and I know why they were using solid colors in that moment. But yeah, I mean, I think like there were certain elements of that were an improvement, but overall, yeah, like the Rotterdam performance with the backup dancers, with the more elaborate choreography was the one that they needed.
I agree. I think the only one of the few things I would take from this performance and would have exported to Rotterdam was the GMK's visual. I thought that was very powerful. I thought that was very strong. I really liked her outfit and her makeup in GMK in this live on tape version. Maybe there would have been a combination of both. There would have been a better way to combine both ideas.
Okay, we've got some questions. Back Contest wants to know, what do we think about the Italian victory? Do you even need to ask, Back Contest? We're like, I don't think I've ever been so happy. And I'm pretty sure that the reason why I'm still so happy and still buzzing after Eurovision is because Italy won with that fantastic band and that amazing song. Jess?
I am very happy to see Italy win after so many years. And, you know, since they returned in 2011, they've set nothing but class and high standard. And it's quite shocking it's taken them 10 years to get a win. But I'm happy they did it. I'm happy Måneskin won. And I can't wait to go to Italy next year.
Anyone else? We're just doing big smiles.
That's
Go
okay
ahead,
too. So, I mean, I'm very happy that Italy won. If you would ask me, like, if I had to choose between all the Italian songs that we've seen at Eurovision over the past few years, I think I would have preferred for Soldi to win, because that's my favorite song, and I just think it was so unique and so different. But that was Duncan Lawrence's year to win, and they had the full package. So yeah, I'm not mad about that, obviously. And I'm just happy to see that Italy has had the opportunity to win. And you know, we when we were watching the live on tape performance today, it really dawned on me that a performance like that benefits the most from being on a stage, because it gives, as we've mentioned before, it gives that concert feeling, and it just feels so at home in that area. So I really think it was a matter of the stars aligning in the right way for Italy to win.
I'm so happy they won. I really like this whole song. I've become semi-obsessed with Måneskin. Sorry. Semi-obsessed with Måneskin. I don't want to fully embrace my whole obsession yet, but I'm getting close. And I've been checking out their music. I really like I Wanna Be Your Slave. And I'm really looking forward to see what the guys come up next with.
Well, that also, I Wanna Be Your Slave, also got into the UK chart. The UK chart was amazing. ESC Ariel, you think Belgium had the better live on tape tonight? You think they're the only act that recorded in a bigger space? Very clever on their part.
I really like that.
Sorry, go ahead, Stuart.
No, I really like that aspect of it. And to be honest, I didn't feel like it was that different for the most part. But then that ending shot when they were pulling out, it was, you know, it really caught my eye, and that was really interesting in my regard. I don't know if it was necessarily better than what we saw in Rotterdam, but it was one of the things that put it in its own place.
I have a few comments on that. It's not the one that recorded on the biggest space. Both Lithuania and Germany, they found Lithuania and Germany, they found the same space as Rotterdam Ahoy in a really big arena, and they recorded their performance there. And I like the Belgium live on tape. I just prefer the one in the version they did in Rotterdam, because the lighting, I find that the lighting in Geike's face is very, very sharp. It's too sharp on this live on tape, and I prefer the light on her face in her performance in Eurovision, because it's somehow softer.
Yeah,
and she carries the whole performance with her face, so I think that would have been an important thing to arrange.
Yeah, I think the only kind of negative I would have of their live on tape was that it was too dark. There wasn't enough color. But I mean, in spite of that, I would say it's my favorite live on tape performance that we've seen. And for me, it was more just the ending when the camera pans out and you see this huge space that they're in. For me, I thought that was brilliant. Yeah.
I really love San Marino tonight, but I'm not sure if it's just because of the end of the show. Dolev, Bracha, you want to know our thoughts about Israel?
I thought it was very interesting to see the outfit she had in mind. I think actually Set Me Free, in Set Me Free, we can see Eden's personality much better than in Feke Libir. So at the end of the whole game, I think Set Me Free was much better suited for her, like for her personality. And I like to see what she was wearing, what the dancers were wearing, what could have been. And I have to say that Rotterdam was really, really an improvement with her outfit change, the dancers moving around, occupying the whole stage. I felt that it felt a little bit compressed in the live on tape.
Jess, you were a big fan of Eden.
Yeah, and I am also a fan of her live on tape. What I do like about it is we have these kind of lovely blue colors with her and the dancers in this white and black, and I think that was the thing that I just loved most about it, was all the visuals and the colors. But like Clara said, the Rotterdam performance felt more polished, and the outfits, in my opinion, were better as well. And yeah, but then again, her vocals were still amazing in the live on tape, which was great to see.
You know, as we're talking about these songs, I think maybe I need to slap myself in the face a little bit, because I think I need to remember exactly why these live on tapes were done, and also the budgets that people would have had for these. So I'm not knocking the performances themselves. I think for me, it's just I prefer to remember the Eurovision performances rather than going back and watch these kind of would have been performances, because obviously for very valid reasons the Rotterdam performances are a lot more polished, and some people would have had a bigger budget for their live on tape than other countries, and
the consistency as well, as I was mentioning before, since they had it was in the hands of a single production team, the consistency was felt. And you know what, one thing that I will say is obviously Australia was the only one that had to use their live on tape for the show to compete. And it's interesting because I actually think that theirs was one of the best looking overall. And, you know, we saw that yesterday because it was one of the semifinalists. And, you know, that was the best that they could do given the circumstances, but it didn't stick out as much as some of the ones that we saw tonight because of the production level. So, you know, I think that they did an excellent job in that regard.
Absolutely.
ESC Ariel, Azerbaijan's live on tape was a great example of how little there is to a song without the pyrotechnics.
Yes and no. I think there was a lot of clever camera work done in Eurovision that did not translate on. Basically, I think they had like 3 camera angles. It was like the main stage where there was just like it was still a still camera and they were dancing, and then one to Effendi's face, and maybe one like a rotation. But it was, yes, I found that with that live on tape performance, Azerbaijan would have been very damaged.
Let's have a look. We've got Christina. You love Måneskin here in Denmark. Oh, we didn't get to see Denmark tonight. The boys from Denmark. You're really proud of Victoria, as you should be. We've got Pipposaurus. Hello to you. You're saying that Italy was the very best tonight. Anybody wants to know, who does Damiano resemble? The man of my dreams.
I've seen the meme. There's a meme going on saying that Damiano resembles to like a goth or an emo Princess Diana.
Ben NG wanted Italy to win in 2011 and 2015. You're happy it was this year. it could have been any of those years, in my opinion. And you're also saying that Belgium sounded professional. There was no issue with Belgium's vocals live on tape. I can never say her name right. I'm going to say Gaika. Is such a fantastic vocalist, and I wish she wasn't maybe as shy as she is in person, because she doesn't do a lot of talking. I think she needs to come out of herself a bit more. Kitty, you're saying Måneskin could win with any song from their new album. Which one would you choose, though? Which one could you imagine on the Eurovision stage? Frankie, you're saying you think you feel like Italy was in need for a win, and Måneskin just did it for all of the past acts that should have won, Mahmoud and Il Volo. Love that comment. We've got Vladimir from North Macedonia, Skopje. Hello to you.
Hi.
We didn't get to watch Vasil's performance tonight. We did watch it yesterday. And kind of the concept was, well, exactly the same as what he did in Rotterdam, really, just on a smaller stage. I was actually wondering whether he was going to do the kind of chest reveal with the glass pieces and we were going to get the lasers, and we did. So it all looked very beautiful, but not as beautiful as Rotterdam.
Yeah, that's why I find this fascinating to see how a song can be elevated, or like the beginning. For me, production is fascinating. So I'm really fascinated by where the ideas come from. Like, where do the producers in Eurovision build up from? So it was fantastic to see how Vasil's staging was built upon.
And since you mentioned him as well, I remember from our conversation that he was saying that they had to come up with that live on tape in such a short time frame, from the point of time in which the song was selected and they had shot the music video. So I mean, it's another thing to remember too. And like, obviously we're coming up with observations, but you know, to be respectful to all the people who put these things together, some of them were probably done very quickly, and especially when you compare it to a fully fleshed out Eurovision performance, yeah, they didn't have the time to finesse it as much as they needed it to. But you know, I agree with that sentiment as well, Clara, that seeing the kind of origins of the idea, and as we've mentioned, it being like a demo version of the fully thought out idea.
Takom, you've got a really valid comment here with regards to a performance with an audience is always better than those without an audience. And I think we really noticed that. I was still kind of waiting for the audience to cheer when his artist finished, and then remembered that, you know, they're in a studio with just crew around them. But Jess, through the rehearsals, we really saw what a difference an audience made to all of the performances that we watched.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And kind of performing to like an empty studio or like an empty arena, it doesn't look the same, and it doesn't sound the same either, and it just sounds like it just doesn't work. And I guess with Eurovision, we're so used to having a huge audience that when you suddenly don't have one, it's a bit like, okay, is this Eurovision or not? But that's why with Australia and Iceland performing in the live shows, they obviously added the audience noise, which made a huge difference in my opinion. It would have been cool if they could have done that tonight, but it was still interesting to see them without all this cheering.
Yeah, it was strange for me not to have I was cheering here. We've got a really good question from ESC Nerd who wants to know, are there any live on tapes that we think would have provided a better result than the Eurovision performances? San Marino.
Latvia. This is from yesterday, but Latvia's performance yesterday was way better. Was way better than what we saw. Though her outfit, for me, in my opinion, the one she wore in Eurovision was better. But her vocals sounded much better, and her backing vocals, the three ladies in green, also sounded much better.
It was the right size space for that song.
Yes.
That's always the issue that I had with Latvia this year. It was the song wasn't right for an arena and for a stage that size, and you could really see that with the live on tape performance. Stu.
So the thing is, I agree with Clara in the sense that I think it would have gotten a better result for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned, the vocals being better. I disagree with you, Andy, however, about it being not the right stage. I think it was more just the application of it. It was one of those acts where they really made a full use of the backdrop, and it was and especially towards the beginning when we saw the first few rehearsals, there were a lot of camera angles from up above, which kind of goes against the feel of the song, because she's the queen of the night, right? And in photography, exactly, it should be either eye level or shooting upwards, because that's how you convey power. And when you go up and above, it conveys the opposite. It conveys smallness, right? So I mean, I think that that was a song that never had the right staging for it, but I do think that because the vocals were better, they probably wouldn't have been harmed as much by the juries, and maybe the public would have also gotten behind it a little bit more.
We'll agree to disagree on that, because I think the stage in Rotterdam was far too big for that song and that performance. But Stu, which one do you think would have done better?
That's the one. Latvia. I don't know if there would be another one that would have, like, I don't think any of them would have benefited tremendously. Like, I don't think it would have been enough for Latvia to qualify per se, but they might not have finished last.
Yes, indeed.
I just lost all my comments. ESC Ariel, you thought Czech Republic was better on tape?
I think it was messier, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I really liked his performance in Rotterdam. So the live on tape was, I mean, I'm glad he was wearing the jacket still, but the live on tape was a bit of a disappointment for me, I think, in terms of his performance. Yes.
Do you know what? I think I'm going to disagree with all of you here and say that I preferred his live on tape performance. Just because for me, I thought it was stronger. Vocals, in my opinion, sounded better. To me, it looked better on the smaller stage. And I overall just loved it more than his Rotterdam performance.
I think his vocals were better in the live tape, but his energy was better in Rotterdam. I don't know. It's like a very interesting vibe that he had going on.
Yeah, and again, he's one of those stage performers. Like, you can tell that he has experience of performing to like sold out arenas, because he really feeds off that energy. And then the other thing I didn't like from the live on tape was that they had this processed vocal underneath his, which was quite loud. So I do think that the vocals were better, but you wouldn't really be able to hear it as much with that processed vocal, appearing in the mix so much.
Can someone tell me who Alex Turner is? Because I don't think I have any idea.
Oh, he is the one from Take Me Out. The Strokes. The Strokes. He's the singer of the Strokes.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you think Damiano looked like... Okay.
And the song I was singing was from Franz Ferdinand, so it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
No, it's the Strokes, but because I watched the cover of Måneskin doing the stroke, doing Franz Ferdinand this morning.
You're before. Well, actually, let's talk about Poland as well, because I've been hearing a lot of people think that Poland's live on tape was much better than the Rotterdam performance.
Arctic Monkeys, yes indeed. Alex Turner from Arctic Monkeys. What are the Strokes then? I just embarrassed myself in the front of the whole internet.
Oh, Clara.
Oh, it's hardly the whole internet, so I wouldn't worry about it. Poland.
You shouldn't start with me, because I don't think it would have made a difference. It looked better. It did look better. I think that was one that it complemented the space a little bit more. And yeah, like vocally he was better, but I still think that there was a cohesive element that was missing from the song to begin with. And yeah, I don't think it would have qualified in the end.
I agree. It's just like the song is not the right song for Eurovision, no matter what Rafael says. I'm against people wearing sunglasses on stage unless you are Tix, because he can pull it off. And for me, the only thing I liked about the performance is that it really felt like I was in an 80s club.
And an 80s club is the best place to be, my darling.
Exactly.
So,
yes, you were not born then.
But
either way, any of you.
How do you know?
Any of you born in the 80s?
Well, I've experienced like replicas, I should say.
Okay.
Right.
Tell us about those nights, Jess. No, don't. I agree. I think with what everyone said, it was, for me, it was much better. It was just cleaner. it was, the dancing wasn't great, though, I have to be honest, in the live on tape performance. I don't think the dancers were very much in sync. But yeah, it was less messy than I think what we saw in Rotterdam.
Yeah, the camera grab was better.
Yeah, and I also liked the, I don't know what you call them, but they kind of had these lights hanging down as well that I thought looked pretty cool. I can't remember seeing them all the way through the performance. Maybe they were raised up at one point. But yeah, it just looked a lot cleaner for me. Let's have Kaz, you thought Poland sounded better as well. Marco Stanley, its 80s vibe was hey Moi, how you doing? We hope you're well. So guys, for those of you who don't know, Moi was a volunteer at Eurovision in Rotterdam, and she also watched our videos before Eurovision. So she came and said hello to us as one of our viewers, and it was just beautiful and gave us lots of
lot of chocolates,
local gifts, and really looked after us in Rotterdam. So thank you, Moi. You loved Django's live on tape more than the actual performance in Ahoy. I'm going to disagree with you on that, but I did enjoy his live on tape performance as well. And I'm glad I wasn't sure if we were going to get the dancer in the live on tape, but we did, and I really enjoyed it. You can tell that they've been rehearsing that performance for a long time.
And it looked like it had been shot in the Ahoy. Like there was a stage and this platform, like this catwalk, and then the other stage.
Yeah, they clearly knew how the setup was going to be, and the same
Germany.
Well, Germany and Lithuania who shot in that arena, and it was actually quite amazing how closely they replicated the look of the stage, because it had the exact same shape. And one small thing that I noticed was that the platform was a ramp rather than having steps. But it was a very interesting decision because mixed in with the show, if they had to use that, it wouldn't have looked as different as what some of the other people had to do. And I wonder how much they spent on that just to do it for that one two performances.
Well, that's what I was thinking with Germany, because it looks kind of expensive, but then I guess it's Germany, they've got a lot more money than other countries. But Jess, I know that Netherlands was one of your favorites this year. So how did you feel about watching the live on tape?
I still thought the overall performance was great by Django and his team. It was pretty much very similar to what we saw in Rotterdam. But for me, I felt like it didn't quite work on the smaller stage. And I would have preferred to have seen a bigger stage and a bigger space for them to move around. But other than that, I loved it.
We've got Serhi. I'm going to have a go at this. Skrishevsky. It says Ukraine had amazing graphics. Well, that's one thing that really surprised me tonight, is that I wasn't sure what Ukraine's performance was going to look like, and it was their Rotterdam performance. They even had the stage, so that was obviously transported all the way to Rotterdam. And yeah, it was one of the ones that wasn't a letdown for me. I probably enjoyed watching it just as much as I did the Rotterdam performance.
That one, in my opinion, actually fit the stage that they used for their live on tape, because I was always a little bit concerned about Ukraine for a lot of reasons, but I felt like in Rotterdam, because they had that platform, it felt a little bit too small when compared to the size of the LED screen. I mean, ultimately, they got a great result, and I wouldn't change that at all, and I'm happy that they performed on that stage. But it was really interesting to see that tonight, because I think that was the performance that complemented that space much more than anything else that we saw.
I totally agree. I think that because the camera angle was narrower, the running man fit the whole screen, so you couldn't see a black spaces above and to the side. So it felt very, very full and dynamic.
We've got. Is this true? Moldova had Stefania's dancers.
Really?
Oh.
Was that in the live on tape or in?
I would presume so.
In Rotterdam, no.
I did not notice.
They wouldn't have. I don't think that dancers can go for multiple. I don't think you can dance for multiple delegations. I think you have to stick to one.
Although it would have been quite difficult to see because the Moldovan dancers had sunglasses on, which I was not a fan of in the live on tape.
Also,
so maybe you just couldn't recognize them.
In the recap, you would see them in the little delegation booths, right? So, yeah, I don't know if that's true.
Good points too.
So this is because this is my worst dance moves from. This is Natalia Gordienko's dance.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
My dad made a very interesting comment because I just watched the live on tape with my dad, and he was very shocked about her dancing because he said you can't expect a normal person dancing to the same level as the actual professional dancers. And I think this is one thing that we all thought that Natalia's dancing was slightly odd compared to the dancers. And if she would have done something different to what the dancers were doing, there would have been no comparison. So it wouldn't have looked so odd.
Was there anyone else that was half waiting for Filip Kirkorov to come on stage as well? I'm just sure he was going to be there somewhere, but he didn't. We've got Ad. You're saying Moldova was not bad in the live on tape? No, it wasn't. It wasn't bad.
She was not just singing; she was just whispering, and she didn't do the high note, which was apparently what they were promoting during the whole Eurovision. That she had this record 17-second high note that was what made them qualify, apparently.
Well, yeah, because it was a long note, but she didn't even do the high note in this.
No, she didn't even try.
A surprise. We've Hey Lekasoi, Serbia, 1, 2, girls, come on. Let's talk about. They gave a great live on tape performance, I think, actually, and it was a flavour of the performance in Rotterdam. So probably one of the ones that I most enjoyed tonight.
Me too.
Go, Jess.
Yeah, I loved the boxes they were standing in. I thought that worked very well for the performance. But everything else I think was very similar, kind of color-wise, graphics-wise. It looked very polished and fine-tuned, in my opinion. And to be honest, I wouldn't have been mad to see this in Rotterdam because I loved it.
Clara.
For me, there were a few things I would point out, like the outfits were different, and I liked, and their shoes were different. And I have, everyone that knows me, I have an issue with shoes, so I really preferred the shoes they were wearing in Rotterdam. I preferred the outfits; they were more elegant, they were less vulgar in Rotterdam, and their vocals were good. However, the one that is clearly the dancer, the blondest one, her vocals on the live on tape, her microphone, I think, was lowered, and the backing, it was very noticeable. So it was Sanya and Xenia doing the vocal parts mostly. And I think the dance moves were more elegant in Rotterdam. But that said, I think it was one of the most dynamic and entertaining live on tapes.
I'm going to be so careful with the shoes that I wear around you now because I never knew you had to think about shoes.
It was like it's like the platform paired with like I don't know. There's shoes that are elegant with high heels and platforms, and there are shoes that are not elegant at all.
See, I've got both. You see, so I just make sure that I choose the right pair next time I see you. Ciao from Italy, Lex. Hello to you, ciao. Stu, Serbia.
I liked that the color scheme was more consistent in the live on tape. I felt like they should have stuck with just red, black, and white because in Rotterdam, all of a sudden we started getting like pink and yellow and the disco ball. Look, I was never the biggest fan of Serbia. I always felt like it was really messy, but obviously it earned its place in the final, and I wouldn't say otherwise. I didn't like the beginning of it at all. Having them in the boxes, it looked like there was some like black tape behind them. I don't know. To me, it looked really cheap, and I didn't like the sliding up and down effect. It looked not at the level that they had in Rotterdam.
Christina, you're saying Azerbaijan had different dancers. Well, they did, and Effendi only met her dancers when she got to Azerbaijan, I believe, and I think they were Ukrainian dancers.
Yes.
Hello to Singing in the Car. What are you singing in the car? Opus Måneskin. Leka, we've already spoken about Azerbaijan. but you're throwing your support behind them. Now let's talk about the dark side, Blind Channel. Looked exactly the same tonight.
Yeah, their live on tape was their UMK final performance. They told us in an interview a long time ago.
As was Denmark and Sweden. They all used
yes, and Croatia, I think.
I think it was everybody except for Albania, because Albania, obviously so much time had passed, and I don't even know if they had that. I can't remember if they had that rule put in place at that point. But also, the original performance for Albania was outside, and there might have been a rule restricting that because studios would have to be closed so that you can control the light. But I'm pretty sure that all of the national final selected songs used a different recordings. It wasn't the one that they actually won with, but it was using the same setup, the same camera movements. Obviously, Norway had to drop 2 dancers because that would have been too many. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that Albania was the only one that did something different.
Was Croatia, because I'm sure I remember like more orange in her national final performance, because I was watching it thinking the outfits looked the same, but I wasn't sure if the actual performance was the same.
I think the outfits were a bit different.
It said Dora on the like one camera angle flipped slightly to the left, and you could see Dora.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while since I've seen it, but it looked very familiar. I don't really know if there were any changes, and to me the color palette stayed the same. Yeah,
I just didn't see. I'm sure she was wearing orange, and the dancers just totally.
No, she was wearing like orange eyeliner, like very graphic eyeliner, and that was there tonight or yesterday night. Sorry.
Okay. Let's have a look. Sansa, you have to go. All right, we've got lots of Måneskin love. We need to listen to Torna Date and Coraline on Spotify, and bonsoir to you in France. Buonanotte. I'm going to try so much Italian over the next year, so you guys better start closing your ears now because I can't speak Italian. Buonanotte. How was that?
Very nice, very good.
Okay. But yeah, any others that stood out for you tonight, guys, or any that you particularly enjoyed watching? I mean, we have to say, for those of you that don't know, and thank you to whoever pointed out earlier that I am actually wearing a Flow Rider t-shirt. But he wasn't on the live on tape today. I didn't really miss him, to be honest with you.
I did find it really funny that the voice just came from nowhere. We didn't see who it was.
Yeah, a song that stood out for me, and it was not from the final, it's from the semifinals, was Slovenia. I think her vocals were really good on that live on tape. They were much better than when she presented the song, and it was elegant considering it must have had very low budget. I think it worked very well.
Anyone else?
I think I've said all of them. My favorite was Ukraine. It looked better in the space that they had, but obviously it did really well in Rotterdam, and I wouldn't take that away.
We can talk again about Måneskin if you want.
Yes, because Måneskin were really the only ones I was waiting to see, and I loved their performance. It was. I'm glad to see that they still kind of played out the Rotterdam performance, but obviously in a smaller, less extravagant space. But it still just worked, and I think anytime those guys set foot on stage, it's going to work. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I was more watching them rather than kind of getting involved in the performance tonight. I'm still buzzing off their win. And yeah, it's just fantastic to watch. I wish I had hair like Ethan, and I absolutely love those guys. So yeah, one of the best performances, live on tape performances. But I wouldn't expect anything less.
What I like is that countries like Switzerland or Latvia, they wore their outfit of the live on tape on the turquoise carpet. I'm not sure if you noticed, but a few of them did wear the outfit.
I did notice that from Latvia.
And also John Steers wore.
I don't think he had red trousers on the carpet, I think.
But like the t-shirt underneath and the thingy and the flowing gown, little jacket, he also wore it there.
Oh, well, since you mentioned Switzerland, I actually kind of forgot about that one. That's one that I'm very happy to have seen in Rotterdam, because I feel like the structure that he was on made such a difference. And you know, it was part of conveying the meaning. Obviously, like the camera work to a degree was the same, and his movements were the same, but it didn't really feel. It doesn't have the same effect when he was on the flat floor. So I am really happy that they were able to present that as it was intended to, because you know, as I've mentioned before, that was one of my favorite performances this year.
I agree totally. And Greece also, what an improvement with the green screen and the idea, because I think in the live on tape it looked like a very flat performance. She sounded great, she looked very confident, and some of the dance moves we saw with the dancers, they were the similar ones that we saw in Rotterdam. But I think, I'm not sure it would have reached such a high place if it wasn't for the green screen and the very clever staging though.
And this was my issue with seeing the live on tapes, is that after watching a Rotterdam performance like Greece, you're never going to be impressed by.
Yes.
So I kind of feel like it's a little bit unfair in some respect. But obviously, you know, everyone's given their permission, apart from the UK and Ireland, for these clips to be shown. For those of you that have been asking in the live chat, the UK and Ireland didn't want theirs to be used in the show tonight and last night, because they wanted everyone to remember their Eurovision performance, which maybe suggests to me that live on tapes weren't that great. I don't know. Everyone will have an opinion, and we will never ever know the true reason. I do think it's a shame that they haven't participated like the other 37 countries that have. But there you go. Life isn't always fair. ESC aerial, Swiss live on tape looked very Loic. Still can't say the name. Loic without the budget. It was a little bit awkward to me, the dancing. I think the dancing looked better. The choreography looked better in Rotterdam. Any other standouts, guys, before we wrap it up?
I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Well, guys, if you're not watching...
Okay.
Talk about France.
I think her delivery vocally was much better in the live on tape, because I think she got very excited in Rotterdam in her grand final performance, and that might have cost her the victory, because she was maybe overacting some words, or like getting, you know, she did this, but like she overdid it. She pushed many times, more times during the performance than we saw in the rehearsals and in the live on tape. And I think she was more, I could clearly see she was calmer, so her vocal delivery was more beautiful
in the live on tape
than in the actual performance. The actual performance was great. She really, you could feel her passion and like her energy was there, but it was more of a beautiful feminine delivery in the live on tape.
Jess, any honorary mentions from you before we go?
I don't think I have anything more to say than what I've said, actually. I'm very happy with all the performances I've seen. Some surprised me, some shocked me. Yeah.
Yeah, and if there was one to mention, I've forgotten it by now, so it's probably not worth it. So,
well, guys, if you're watching us live, or even if you are watching us live, please do comment down below and let us know which live on tape performances you liked. If this is the format again next year, do you want to see all the live on tape performances again? Do let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, subscribe if you haven't. Follow us on our socials and stick with us, because we'll have more coming up over the next week. So otherwise, have a great evening, everyone, and enjoy the Champions League if you're watching. See ya.
Bye.